Time having arrived, I call the meeting of the Committee on Finance to order for today, Monday,
December 16th.
the 16th. If you can just please rise and help us salute our beautiful flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, councilors and guests, first I just want to apologize. I have a head cold, so anything I do say, please do not hold this against me. With that being said, Mr. Clerk.
Item 1, we have the appointment of Mrs. Harriet Beasley of 9 Roger Road, Brockton, Mass. to the Council on Aging Board of Directors as a permanent member for a 3-year term ending in December 2027.
Ms. Beasley, please welcome.
Welcome all, and good evening. My name is Harriet Beasley. I'm a lifelong resident of Brockton, Mass., and I want to thank the mayor and the city council for consideration for appointment to the board at the Council on Aging.
Any questions for?
Motion to recommend favorably to the full city council.
A motion has been properly made in second to recommend this item favorably to the entire city council. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Beasley. You as well. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Mr. Chairman,
Council Lally.
I'd like to take a motion, make a motion to take item 10 out of order in
Second.
deference to the folks from the Garden Club who are here.
Second. Thank you.
A motion has been made to take number 10 out of order. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Number 10 it is, Mr. Clerk.
Item 10, resolved in recognition of the Brockton Garden Club's 95th anniversary. Longtime member Jacqueline Bonarigo will present to the City Council the Garden Club's involvement, as well as some of the exciting projects and events planned in our community. Invited Ms. Jacqueline Bonarigo and anyone else that she may deem appropriate.
Jacqueline, welcome.
Thank you, everyone, city councilors, city clerk. I know most of you. So I go by Jackie. Jacqueline's a little formal, and I am a member of the Brockton Garden Club, and I'm happy to be here in front of you. Thank you for allowing me to briefly present our story. The Brockton Garden Club was begun in November of 1929 through a group of dedicated women led by Annie Burke to beautify the community. There's a memorial on 304 Main Street for her. These women held high teas and wore white gloves and yet persevered through many challenges both our community and our nation faced. They planted the seed to protect our environment when very few were considering the vital concern. We have the honor and pleasure of kicking off 95 years and reflecting on some of our projects. Just to highlight a few, we participate in many community activities throughout the year with our schools at such events as the Haitian Community Partners Summer Festival, the annual STEM event at the Brockton Public Library, Massasoit Community College's Earth Day, and we hold meetings 8 times a year that the public is welcome to attend for free. We deliver holiday wreaths and decorate City Hall Plaza, participate in annual cleanups, work closely with the Beautification Committee, Wildland Trusts, and maintain several sites throughout the city. This is just a partial list of our projects, and they grow with the needs of the residents. We have individuals of all backgrounds, all ages, and all walks of life. Some are in their 80s, not me, and some have served our nation, and some have an extensive knowledge of the environment. We invite everyone to learn more about us and join us for our next meeting. Unfortunately, it's on a Monday when you guys meet, January 27th. We meet at Our Lady of Lords Rec Hall with our doors opening at 6:30 p.m. And we will. The topic will be Garden Jeopardy, which is a lot of fun. Happy, safe holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and please feel free to visit us at www.brockton.org. brockton.gc.org. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie. Councilor Azak.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ms. Bonarigo, for telling us about the Garden Club, and thank you for moving them up on the agenda. I really appreciate it. I would also like to recognize that we have former Ward 5 City Councilor and current Garden Club President Ann Beauregard here in the chamber with us. So the Garden Club, as you heard, does a lot of great things to help beautify Brockton, and I've always wanted to join, but the meetings are always on Mondays, so hopefully we can get more people involved that don't have to be here on a Monday night, but you guys are doing amazing things, so thank you, and congratulations on your anniversary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Nicastro.
Thank you. Good evening. I am a member of the Garden Club, a longtime member now, and it's my disappointment that I cannot attend meetings usually, since they're on Monday nights and they conflict with council and finance, and I just think it's wonderful that the Garden Club will be celebrating 95 years. There have been 95 years full of benefit to the city of Brockton and Brockton's residents, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be a member, and thank you for coming here to make us all aware of it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, and we also have a lot of fun, too. We have parties and dinners and have a drink or two, and have a great camaraderie. So when you guys are no longer on the city council, come join.
So let's make a pitch. Anyone who's listening now and in the future who would like to join the Garden Club would like to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to recommend favorably back to the full city council.
Second.
A motion has been properly made in second to recommend this item favorably to the entire city council. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It carries, and thank you, folks, for being here. Number 2, Mr. Clerk.
Item 2, ordered in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council approve the tax increment exemption agreement, TIE, between the City of Brockton and 117 North Main LLC for the property located at 117 North Main Street. Invited Honorable Mayor Robert F. Sullivan, Chairman of Assessors John O'Donnell, CFO Troy Clarkson, and whoever else may be needed to present.
Mr. Clark, Dr. Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the council. As I noted in my overview to you over the weekend, this developer who is proposing this tie agreement is well known to the city and to this council. He has successfully redeveloped a couple of properties in the downtown and has an excellent track record of working with us. His name is Ted Carmen from Concord Square Development. Ted is here this evening, and with your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask him to just provide a brief presentation to the council on the development. But as to the increment itself, this is fashioned identically to some other ties that you have approved, in the standard increment that the mayor has approved during his tenure is 60% over 10 years. Assessor John O'Donnell is here as well if you have any questions, but I would just remind members of the council and the public that this increment that's offered, the reduction is on the new value that's created. So the city never loses out on any funds or any tax revenue. We only share in the new value that's created. So it's a great tool that we've used several times during my tenure here at the city to foster economic development, to create investment in the city, creating millions of dollars in new value, and ultimately millions of dollars in new revenue. Because once this 10-year increment is up, then we tax and collect on the full value of the newly redeveloped property. So it really is an excellent tool in the toolbox to encourage significant development in the downtown.
Dr. Clarkson, I'm glad you brought that up, because often when the public hears us talking about this, they're thinking we're cutting taxes out of somebody's property, and that's further from the truth than anything else. So I'm glad you kind of brought that up. Councilors, if you don't have any objections, Mr. Carmen could come up and make his presentation, and then we'll go from there. So you brought some pictures or some things that you might want to share with us, no?
Ready?
Go for it.
Councilors, I'm delighted to be here. I'm Ted Carmen from Concord Square Planning and Development. As Troy suggested, we have finished in the last year both 93 Center Street, the old furniture building, which is now 55 new apartments, and the Petronelli building at 28 Petronelli Way, which is 18 market rate apartments. The Petronelli building is the building that Marvin Hagler trained in from 1980 to 1987 when he was the middleweight champion of the world. I'm here, number one, to thank you for a week or two ago for extending the HDIP district from Linden Street north to Charles Street, which enabled it to encompass our property. This program is enormously helpful for the financing of the project because it makes us eligible for a $2.5 million tax credit, which is money we end up not having to pay back. And so in these days when interest rates are so high and when it's so difficult to finance projects, this program really is a big help in making that all take place. The site is a couple of blocks north of Pleasant Street and Court Street. I'm sorry, it's one long block. It feels like 2 blocks because it's so far. It extends between North Main Street and Montello Street. It's 2.5 acres. Our plan is to build 100 units of market rate housing on the site. We got zoning from the ZBA last June. We are moving forward with all of the pieces of the financing, the planning, the plans, et cetera. And I'd like to show you some renderings and what the project will look like. The site currently has a 60,000 square foot 4-story building. It's the home of Alden Electronics. Oh, that's good. Home of Alden Electronics. We looked in, it's a historic building, but it's basically wood frame. It's not in, it does not lend itself well to apartments. We tried to see if we could find a way to keep it. We were not, so what we're going to do is build a new 5-story building that fronts on North Main Street, turns the corner onto Linden Street. And so the main corner will be on the corner of Linden and North Main Street. That'll be the entrance. The project is going to be 5 stories high. The architects have used a variety of materials and so forth to make it not look quite as big as, and make it look more in scale with the neighborhood. But we think it'll be an efficient building, and we think we can build some really very nice apartments that people will be very happy to live in. As I said, the site runs from North Main Street here to Montello Street. It has enough room for 125 parking spaces. All the parking spaces will be on grade. We're going to have a separate parking lot at the end of the Linden Street L, which will be used for the trash dumpster. It'll be used for drop-off and pickups and for people moving in and out of the building, which will happen at this end of the building. In terms of the floor plans, it's L-shaped. There are studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. The Linden Street end of the building will have a basement under it, which will be used for things like the compactor and for trash removal, and people can move in and move out through that area and then up through the elevators. There will be 2 elevators. The main entrance is in the corner. The hallway will come all the way through the building to provide access for the parking in the back. Basically, there are going to be 2-bedroom units on the ends. They're attractive units because they'll have windows on both sides, on 2 sides of the living rooms. So I think that's it in a nutshell. Again, thank you very much for your consideration of this, which will be very helpful to us in terms of putting the financing together.
Any questions? Councilor Nicastro,
Thank
and
you.
then Griffin. Thompson after.
Good evening, Mr. Carmen.
Good evening.
Tell us, is this project possible without this tie agreement?
No.
Why?
Well, for two reasons. One, without the tie agreement, we can't get the tax credits. And the second is that the tie agreement makes it possible to borrow more money up front. And I think everyone is aware of the fact that high interest rates have really stopped construction all over eastern Massachusetts. I mean, it's an enormous problem. And we've got to go into the markets and borrow the money. And so the tie enables us to borrow more money on day one. And secondly, the tax credits mean that we can reduce the equity we need, and by reducing the equity, we can get the returns for the equity partners down, up to the point where it's feasible.
And right now, today, or about this time, what are banks lending? At what interest rate are banks lending on projects of this size right now?
Well, the 7-year, the Federal Home Loan Bank has a program of making loans to banks, and the 7-year money right now, banks can borrow from the Federal Home Loan Bank at about 4.1% for 7 years. They add 200 basis points to that, so that means the rate for the mortgage would be around 6% or 6.1%.
And that's considered high, given the last couple of years.
Well, it's high 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when we were putting together Petronelli and the Anglem, we got rates that were under 3%, under 4%. It makes a huge difference in being able to raise the money for the project.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. Carmen. I'm just very glad to see that you're building another project in Brockton. We have a bit of a history, having worked together on the United Furniture Building and the Petronelli Way.
That's an understatement, of course. That we worked together on that building.
We did. We did.
Yes.
I think it was good for the city, and I want to impress on everybody what a marquee developer you are. You come into the city, you've always done what you say you were going to do. I'll be supporting this tie, and I encourage my fellow councilors to also. And I wish you nothing but success in the upcoming year, Mr. Carmen.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Thompson, and then Isaac and Fowler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, Mr. Carmen. I just want to thank you for your continued investment in the city of Brockton, and in particular Ward 5. Your previous buildings are basically the foundation in which all other developments are kind of built off of. So again, your continued investment is much appreciated. I had one question regarding the building itself. Is this a mixed-use building or not?
Good point. I forgot to mention, we're going to have 2,000 square feet of commercial space on the first floor.
Okay.
Probably be office space. We'll also have a fitness room. We'll probably have a co-working space as well.
All right, great. I, too, support the issuance of this tie. I do encourage my fellow city councilors to support it as well. And it's great to see you tonight, Ted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Isaac.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr. Carmen. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and I've always supported your projects, and I just want to personally thank you for always investing in Brockton, so I appreciate that. I just have a quick question. If I remember correctly, when you first started with this project, was there going to be any historic credits? Was part of the building historic? Were you able to get any of that, or?
I'm sorry, would you?
With part of the building, I thought part of the building was historic. You were able.
The existing building.
Yes.
There's a historic district in that neighborhood, but this building is not considered contributing to it. It may be eligible individually, but it's not certain that it's eligible individually.
Okay.
You're talking about being eligible for historic tax credits.
Yes, yep.
Yes. So the answer is probably, but there's no certainty.
Okay. Well, thank you, and thank you again for always being here for Brockton. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Farwell.
Mr. Carmen, just a quick question. Timeline for the benefit of the public. When do you think things would get rolling, and just anticipated completion date?
Our goal
Yes?
is next summer.
Really?
That's our goal, next August.
Wow. It's,
So that's what we're trying to do. That doesn't mean necessarily we'll get there, but that's what we're hoping to do.
yeah, I think the federal government should hire you, because nothing gets done that quickly and that well. So seriously, housing is very important, and you do have a track record of excellence, so thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Carmen, I don't know if you mentioned this or not. What's the total cost of this development?
It's going to be a big number. Over 40 million.
40 million?
Yeah.
So it's a 40 million investment that you're making to our city.
Yeah, if not more.
All right, good.
Motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
A motion has been properly made in second to recommend number 2 favorably. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It carries. Thank you and best of luck with your project.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Number 3, sir.
Item 3, order that the City Council authorizes the acceptance and expenditure of the total grant funds in the amount of $39,600 from Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency to Brockton Emergency Management Agency. Invited CFO Troy Clarkson, Stephen Hook, Director of BEMA.
Mr. Hook, welcome.
Mr. Chairman, City Councilors, good evening. So this is a straight grant from the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, no match required. We will purchase 2 light towers, a generator, 10,000-watt generator, and 185 cooling and heat kits that we use for the residents in the winter and the summer. But the generators and the light towers are our most requested piece of equipment that we lend out, we use. Happy to answer any questions.
Motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
A motion has been, on the motion?
On the motion.
Okay, on the
Good
motion.
evening, Mr. Hook.
Good evening.
I thought I saw in there that there was a match required. Are you sure there's no match?
No match.
Okay, and you're certainly making this money go far.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Councilor from Ward 4. A motion has been properly made and second to recommend this item favorably. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It carries. And
Thank you.
Mr. Hook. I'm glad you have those generators to make it available to community use, since we've been using them for the last 2 summers or so. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Number 4, sir.
Item 4, that the City Council authorizes the acceptance and expenditure of the total grant funds in the amount of $791,667 from the Department of Public Health to the City of Brockton. Invited Dr. Reno Mondesir, CFO Troy Clarkson.
Dr. Mondesir.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening. Microphone is yours.
Well, thank you. I'm here simply to say that this money is coming to the City of Brockton, and I think DPH has been very supportive of the city to make sure that we have the funds that we need in order to do what we need to do. So I'm here and to acknowledge it.
Motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
I guess on the motion, what are you going to use these funds for?
Well, I wish I could entertain the council on the details of this. I am very eager to learn about it myself, and as soon as I have more information, I will definitely make it available to the council.
All right. On the motion,
Thank
Councilor
you.
Castro.
Good evening, Dr. Mondesir. Well, I read the paperwork today, and it's coming from the Bureau of Substance Addiction. So it's possible you're using it for health issues related to addiction.
I can assist and provide some backup here. There is in your packet a letter from the Commonwealth that talks about the nature of this grant, and it is part of a long-term commitment from the Department of Public Health to address the ongoing addiction epidemic here in the city. So this $791,000, $291,000 for the future year, and $500,000 for the current year, excuse me, and $500,000 for future years, and it is anticipated to support programs specifically related to the work that the city is currently doing in that space.
Dr. Clarkson, did we apply for this, or is this something that the state just allocated to the city?
This was a grant for which the city applied.
Okay. Anyone else? A motion has been properly made and second to recommend this item favorably. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It carries. And thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Go right ahead, Councilor.
Items 5, 6, and 7 we acted upon in our special city council meeting, so I would move that we take these collectively and that they all be tabled.
Second.
A motion has been properly made and second to table 5, 6, and 7 collectively. All those in favor? All those opposed? Tabling, it shall go. Number 8.
Item 8, that the City Council authorizes the acceptance and expenditure of the total grant funds in the amount of $55,000 from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security to the City of Brockton. Invited IT Director Ted Medeiros, CFO Troy Clarkson.
Mr. Medeiros, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Good evening, councilors. I'm here to answer any questions.
Council Fowler.
This may be a little off topic, but based on what happened to the Brockton Neighborhood Health Center and some other agencies that have been hit, how are we with respect to IT security? Are we okay?
I would say yes, definitely, Counselor. This grant's going to help us with end-user training. End-user training is I think one of the biggest keys to protecting everything. It's from the inside.
Okay.
It's often overlooked, often not funded or paid for. So the fact that we're getting extra money, or rather help with this to get it done, is a really good thing. And we don't normally do it every year. We've taken an approach to give some of the people a break here, but it is definitely time to ramp up again. We have a lot of new employees, a lot of people have retired, so it's good timing as far as I'm concerned to get this one going again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Nakash.
Thank you. Good evening, Ted.
Hi,
Nice to
Councilor.
see you.
Good evening.
The Commonwealth Standard Contract Form lists the amount of this grant as $5,500, not $55,000. Are you aware of this?
Okay.
Aren't
I'm
usually
not.
wrong.
We've got to look at that, then
Yeah,
get that straightened out.
yeah. We probably need to know before we vote this in finally next week.
Okay.
Okay? You look into that and let us know.
Sure. Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good catch, Councilor. I would like somebody to entertain a motion to...
Counselor, if I could, please.
Go right ahead, sir.
There is a piece from the state that's $5,500. That's the match. Is that the piece you're talking about? Because the other part should be from the federal government. There's two. Should be two contracts.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe
Sure.
that's the match.
Right.
Well, we'll check it
Maybe
out anyway.
she might be missing the other one for the 49.5.
Yeah, we'll check it out and then make sure that we have those numbers.
Yeah,
before
just
we-
I was just going to say that. If you're missing it, I'm sure we can get it over there, but,
Thank you.
okay.
That'd be swell. Thank you.
Motion to recommend favorably?
Second?
A motion has been properly made and second to recommend this item favorably. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilors. Good evening.
Number 9.
Item 9, that the City Council authorizes the acceptance and expenditure of the total grant funds in the amount of $850,000 from the Department of Housing and Urban Development to the City of Brockton. Invited CFO Troy Clarkson.
Dr. Clarkson.
Good evening again. There is a letter in your packet. This actually is your acceptance of what we used to call congressional earmarks. we now call congressionally directed spending. This is an $850,000 appropriation for improvements at the Adams Garage.
Motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
A motion has been, on the motion, Council.
On the motion, Mr. Clarkson, are you aware of the work that's going to be performed with these funds?
The specific improvements, I know, Counselor, were listed in the application. I don't have that in front of me, but before you vote next week, I'll be glad to get them to you. You bet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. A motion has been properly made and second to recommend this item favorably to the entire City Council. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It carries. Number 11.
Item 11, order that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $100,000 from DPW Stormwater Department Equipment to DPW Stormwater Consultants. Invited DPW Commissioner Patrick Hill, CFO Troy Clarkson.
Mr. Hill, congrats.
Good evening, Councilor. Thanks for having me. This money is going to be moved into from goods into the service line item. Basically, the $100,000 will be used on two separate consultants. One, the consultants will be somebody that will be consulting with the Stormwater Commission to revamp the billing, and the other one will be a contract with a GIS consultant to continue services that we've been using annually.
Councilor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioner Hill. Earlier this evening, this council discussed the establishment of the Stormwater Commission, and so we understand that the commission has fully been appointed. What's the status of you meeting and the beginning of the process of establishing a policy for our stormwater management in the city?
So at the beginning of next year, sometime in January, we'll have our first meeting. I do have the names of the three gentlemen that were appointed. I expect to have my meeting. We have to settle on a date and time that works for everybody. But I expect second, third week in January, we'll have our first meeting.
And the purpose of the commission is basically to establish a policy on the stormwater management fees and how those are spent, or what's exactly the purpose of the commission?
I mean, it's a multi-facet role. They will be looking at the billing portion of it and how the billing was established based on the ordinance. We'll be looking at the changes. They'll also be doing reviewing stormwater permits. So each and every month, anybody that needs a stormwater permit to continue on with construction will have to submit the permit to the commission, which will review it, and that's why we're bringing a consultant to have a third-party consultant review all the, all the engineered drawings and based on the ordinance. We likely will be making some changes to the stormwater manual to adapt possibly back to what the mass standard is. Our standard is a little stringent. But that will be up to the commission. I'm simply the chairman with no voting power, so I will present these issues to everybody and let them vote on them.
Yeah, it seems like, in my experience, some development seems to bottleneck when it comes to stormwater, the engineering and the approval of those designs. So anything you can do to kind of widen that bottleneck so that those approvals can happen quicker, would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, we hope to in bringing on one consultant that will be reviewing this and having a background after, reading through the ordinance and the stormwater manual, that it will streamline that process and speed it up.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else?
Motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
A motion has been properly made and second to recommend number 11 favorably to the entire City Council. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It carries.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I have.
Any moments of recognition? Having none, councilors, I just want to remind you all that we are going to meet next Monday, December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas, but it's an important meeting because after the meeting we'll have our annual caucus to select the council Yes?
Oh, me?
No, Councilor Azak.
So I did have something, but
Okay.
after you're done.
But just a reminder that we will be meeting afterwards, after our meeting, to select the new council president. With that being said, Councilor Azak.
Thank you. So I received a message from Joanne Zigmund from Old Colony Planning Council. She's working on a regional water plan that's supported by the state. There's a public survey that closes this week, and from my understanding, Brockton residents haven't been very involved with this survey, so we want to hear more from Brockton residents so their voices can be heard. So please take a moment to go on to Old Colony Planning Council's website. It's there. It's a survey. It's a water survey. If you have any questions, it's in multiple languages. But go on there, and this is we really need to hear from Brockton residents about it. So hopefully everybody will go on there, take the time, and fill out this survey. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Fowler.
Ordinance meeting Thursday, this Thursday, the 19th, and I believe it's at 6:30. So,
Ordinance
committee meets
Thursday,
19th at 6:30. Thank you.
6:30. Anyone else? Having no further business for the people of the city of Brockton, this meeting is adjourned. Good night.